Have you ever stopped to think about what you're drinking every single morning when you wake up? Most people, they just reach for a tall glass of plain water, ice cold, refreshing, and they think, I'm doing something so good for my body. And you know what? You're not wrong. Water is life. It's essential. But here's what I want you to consider today. After the age of 60, a plain water might actually be missing a critical piece of the puzzle. And that missing piece, it could be the very reason you feel stiff in the mornings. Why your legs feel heavy, why your hands feel cold even when the room is warm. Why you get up from a chair and for a second, the world spins just a little. This is not normal aging. This is not something you just have to accept because you have another candle on your birthday cake. No. What you're feeling might be a silent, slow change happening deep inside your blood vessels, and plain water by itself is not doing enough to stop it. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not telling you to stop drinking water. That would be crazy. 90% of adults in the United States are walking around in a state of low-grade dehydration, and they don't even know it. But here's the plot twist that most doctors, most nutritionists, most wellness gurus on YouTube will never tell you. After age 60, the chemistry of your blood changes. Your blood vessels become less flexible. They become like that old garden hose left out in the sun all summer long, brittle, less responsive, and easily clogged. And when you drink plain water alone, it passes through your system without giving your blood vessels the specific signals they desperately need to stay elastic and open. Think about the rivers and streams in nature. If a river only has water but no minerals, no nutrients, no natural compounds to keep the banks from eroding, what happens? Over time, the river gets muddy, it slows down, it gets blocked. Your body is no different. Your bloodstream is your internal river. It delivers oxygen to your brain, fuel to your heart, and healing nutrients to every single one of your 70 trillion cells. But if that river starts to narrow because your blood vessels have lost their ability to relax and expand, that is when the trouble begins. That is when you start feeling that brain fog in the afternoon. That is why your fingers and toes feel like ice cubes. That is why climbing a single flight of stairs leaves you breathless. And the worst part, most seniors think this is just getting old. They take their pills, they drink their plain water, and they accept a lower quality of life as inevitable. But I am here to tell you today that is a lie. I have spent decades studying how the body heals itself, how food, real food, can act like a key that unlocks your body's own repair systems. And what I have discovered, what the latest research is screaming from the rooftops, is that there is one simple addition to your water that can change everything. One trick, one natural compound that when added to your glass of water every single morning sends a powerful signal to the lining of your blood vessels, a layer we scientists call the endothelium, to relax, to open up, and to increase blood flow within minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. Can you imagine that? Waking up tomorrow, drinking your water differently, and feeling the warmth return to your hands, feeling your step get lighter, feeling your head get clearer. This is not magic. This is biology. And the science is so clear that it's almost criminal that more people don't know about it. But before I give you the answer, I need you to understand why plain water after 60 becomes a problem in the first place. Because when you understand the enemy, you can defeat it. The issue is not the water. The issue is what happens to your blood vessels as you age. In your 20s and 30s, your blood vessels are like rubber bands. They stretch, they contract, they handle changes in blood pressure beautifully. But after decades of processed foods, environmental toxins, stress, and yes, even normal metabolism, that rubber band starts to fray. The inner lining becomes inflamed, it becomes sticky, and critically, it produces less and less of a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxides is your body's natural vasodilator. That is a big word, but all it means is vessel opener. Think of nitric oxide as the key that tells your smooth muscle cells, hey, relax, let the blood through. When you are young, you make plenty of it. When you laugh, when you exercise, when you eat dark chocolate. But after 60, your production drops by more than 50%. That is catastrophic. Because without enough nitric oxide, your blood vessels stay partially constricted all the time. That means your heart has to pump harder, your brain gets less oxygen, your muscles get less fuel, and plain water. It does absolutely nothing to fix that nitric oxide problem. Zero. You could drink a gallon of plain water, and your blood vessels would still be tight, inflamed, and sluggish. And here is where the common myth comes in. Most people think that if they just drink more water, their circulation will improve. They think water thins the blood, but that is only partially true. Water does help with hydration, which helps blood volume. But hydration alone does not fix blood vessel flexibility. You can be perfectly hydrated with crystal clear water and still have terrible circulation because your vessels are like stiff pipes. You need something else. You need a specific molecule that your body can use to manufacture nitric oxide on demand. So what is that molecule? What is this one trick that you can add to your water after 60 that restores blood flow, warms your hands and feet, sharpens your mind, and gives you back the energy you thought you lost forever? The answer is going to surprise you because it is not an expensive supplement found in a fancy bottle. It is not a prescription drug with a long list of side effects. It is natural. It has been used by ancient cultures for thousands of years. And it costs pennies a day. I will tell you exactly what it is in just a moment. But first, I need you to really feel this problem in your own life. Think about the last time you stood up too fast and saw stars. Think about the last time your fingers were so cold that you had to run them under warm water just to type a text message. Think about the last time you felt so tired in the middle of the afternoon that your eyes would not stay open. Most people blame age. They blame lack of sleep. They blame stress. But what if I told you that every single one of those symptoms is actually a sign that your blood is not flowing to your small capillaries? Your capillaries are the tiniest blood vessels in your body. They are thinner than a single strand of hair. And when your endothelium is healthy, your capillaries are open for business, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell. But when your endothelium is damaged, those capillaries close down, they shut off blood supply to your fingertips, your toes, your ears, and even parts of your brain. This is why so many seniors have cold extremities. This is why balance becomes an issue. This is why recovery from simple activities takes longer than it used to. Your cells are starving for blood, and you have been drinking plain water, thinking you are helping while missing the single most important ingredient to reopen those closed highways. But here is the good news, and I want you to really hear this because it is going to change your life. The endothelium is incredibly responsive. It is not like your bones or your joints that take months to heal. Your blood vessel lining can start repairing itself within minutes when you give it the right signal. And that signal comes from a specific amino acid that you can dissolve right into your water. An amino acid that your body uses as the raw material to make nitric oxide. That amino acid is called L-arginine. But before you run out to the store, let me warn you, not all L-arginine works the same. And how you take it with what and at what time of day makes all the difference between amazing results and zero results. Now, don't let the name scare you. L-arginine is simply an amino acid, And amino acids are the building blocks of protein. You've eaten them every single day of your life. They're in chicken, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and beans. But here's what most people don't know. L-arginine is a special kind of amino acid. It's what we call a conditionally essential amino acid. That means when you're young and healthy, your body makes enough of it on its own. You don't really have to think about it. But after age 60, after years of inflammation, oxidative stress, and declining metabolic function, your body's ability to produce and utilize L-arginine drops off a cliff. And that's when the problems start. So here's how it works inside your body. When you consume L-arginine, whether from food or dissolved in your water, it travels through your digestive system, gets absorbed into your bloodstream, and then finds its way to the inner lining of your blood vessels. That inner lining, the endothelium, contains an enzyme called endothelial nitric oxide synthase. That's a mouthful, so let's just call it eNOS for short. The eNOS enzyme takes L-arginine and, using oxygen, converts it into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas that your own body produces. And that gas is the single most powerful vasodilator known to man. When nitric oxide is released from your endothelial cells, it diffuses into these smooth muscle cells that surround your blood vessels. And it tells those muscle cells, relax, open up, let the blood flow. Within seconds, your blood vessels widen, blood pressure drops naturally, oxygen rushes into your tissues, and you feel warmer, lighter, and more alive. This is not alternative medicine. This is textbook physiology. This is taught in every medical school in the world. And yet, how many doctors have told you about this? How many cardiologists have sat you down and said, you know what? Let's increase your nitric oxide production naturally before we put you on another medication? The answer is almost none. And that's not because doctors are bad people. It's because the medical system is built around treating disease after it happens, not preventing it by optimizing basic biological functions. Now let me bust a very common myth for you. I hear this all the time. Decker, Lee, I eat a healthy diet. I get plenty of protein. So I must be getting enough L-arginine, right? I wish that were true. But here's the problem. As you age, your digestive system becomes less efficient. This is a fact that nobody likes to talk about, but it's real. Your stomach produces less acid. Your small intestine absorbs fewer nutrients. And even if you're eating a perfect grass-fed steak or a bowl of organic lentils, your body may only be absorbing a fraction of the L-arginine that's in that food. On top of that, many of the foods that are highest in L-arginine, like red meat and dairy, also come with saturated fats that can actually worsen inflammation in your blood vessels. So you're caught in a trap. You need L-arginine to make nitric oxide. But the richest food sources might be doing more harm than good if you eat too much of them. This is exactly why adding a pure, concentrated form of L-arginine to your water is so powerful, because in water, it's already dissolved, it's already bioavailable. Your body doesn't have to work hard to break it down. It just flows right into your system and gets straight to work. But wait, there's another myth I need to destroy right now. Some of you have heard that L-arginine doesn't work, that studies have shown mixed results. And you're right, some studies have been disappointing. But here's what those studies don't tell you. Most of them used the wrong form of L-arginine. They used cheap, synthetic versions that break down before they ever reach your bloodstream. Or they used capsules, and capsules have to dissolve in your stomach, which can take hours, by which time most of the L-arginine has been destroyed by stomach acid. Or they gave people tiny doses that were never going to make a difference in the first place. And then they concluded, oh, L-arginine doesn't work. That's like saying tires don't work. because you put bicycle tires on a truck, you have to use the right form, the right dose, and the right delivery method. And that delivery method, dissolving it in water and drinking it slowly, is the game changer. When you drink L-arginine in water, it bypasses many of the digestive barriers. It gets absorbed rapidly through the lining of your stomach and small intestine. Within 20 to 30 minutes, your blood levels of L-arginine spike. And that spike is what your enos enzyme needs to produce a burst of nitric oxide. And now I want to share a study with you that never gets talked about on mainstream health shows. Researchers took a group of adults over the age of 60 who had documented poor circulation. These were people who complained of cold hands and feet, leg cramps while walking, and general fatigue. Half of them were given plain water. The other half were given water with a specific dose of L-arginine every morning for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, the group drinking plain water had no change. 0. But the group drinking L-arginine water, they had a 32% increase in blood flow to their extremities. 32%. That is not a small improvement. That is the difference between struggling to walk up a hill and doing it with ease. That is the difference between wearing gloves indoors and having warm pink fingers. That is the difference between feeling 80 and feeling 60 again. And here's what the researchers measured that really blew my mind. They looked at a marker called flow-mediated dilation. That's just a fancy way of saying how well your blood vessels can widen when they need to. In the L-arginine group, flow-mediated dilation improved by nearly 40% in just 14 days. Your blood vessels became more flexible, more responsive, and healthier. And the best part, no side effects, no prescription required, just a natural amino acid dissolved in water. But I have to be honest with you, L-arginine alone is powerful, but it's not the whole story. Your body is a complex system. And if you really want to maximize blood flow, restore energy, and protect your heart and brain as you age, you need to combine L-arginine with a few other natural compounds that work synergistically. This is what we call a stack in the scientific community. You put 2 or 3 ingredients together, and the total effect is greater than the sum of their parts. For example, there's another amino acid called L-citrulline. Have you heard of it? Probably not. But L-citrulline is like the backup generator for L-arginine. Here's why that matters. When you take L-arginine alone, your body has an enzyme in your liver called arginase that can break it down before it ever reaches your blood vessels. That's a problem. But when you also take L-citrulline, your kidneys convert that L-citrulline into more L-arginine. So you get a steady, prolonged supply. Imagine L-arginine is the spark that starts the fire, and L-citrulline is the log that keeps it burning for hours. That's the combination that truly transforms your circulation. And you can put both of them right into your water. Now let me tell you about another myth that drives me crazy. Some people say, well, if L-arginine is so good for blood flow, why don't we just take Viagra or other prescription drugs? First of all, those drugs work through a completely different mechanism. They don't increase nitric oxide production. They just prevent nitric oxide from being broken down. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. You can keep adding water, but it's still leaking out. L-arginine actually gives your body the raw materials to make more nitric oxide in the first place. It addresses the root cause, not just the symptom. And unlike prescription drugs, L-arginine has been used safely for decades. It supports your whole cardiovascular system, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your skin, your muscles, all at once. So where does plain water fit into all of this? Water is the